Paul Ricard track at the moment, and it's making the bike very difficult to turn. These are the positions now after nearly 4 hours. It's Terry Reimer on the Suzuki out in front, Poland in second place on the RVF RC45, and there was me thinking it was Ian McPherson. Oh, that will teach you to do all your paperwork beforehand, because I might as well take it up and throw it away, because it wasn't like that at all. Got the latest paperwork in, and I'll show you what happened at the start of the race. Not all of them, but the main one. I was speaking about Ian McPherson getting away on the Kawasaki for about half an hour, and when I went out of the booth, they said, hey, that was Igor German. I should have known, because Ian McPherson's a tiny little guy, and Igor's a little bit bigger. Certainly an eager beaver when he went out onto the track. Everybody, I can assure you. Currently though, 116 laps done. We've done 4 hours and 5 minutes of racing, and that's only a tiny fraction of 24 hours that these guys are going to throw these machines around the track. 116 laps. Still in the lead is the #1 Suzuki. Terry Reimer on board. You're looking at number 11, the Kawasaki bright orange helmet. That tells you when two tall tales right behind you. So Terry Reimer a lot happier now, well, so far anyway, but there is still a long way to go to the end of this race, and although he's behind the second Suzuki, you see he's way ahead in time. Currently Suzuki first and fourth, and he's chasing Arnold van der Bosch on the track, but Arnold van der Bosch is well behind him. It's about 4 laps down as they come towards you, and Terry is absolutely right. In a straight line, he just can't catch the other Suzuki, can only do it in corners. But remember, the #4 Suzuki in front of Terry at the moment is 4 laps down, so he doesn't really need to do anything drastic. He just has to take his time. In the corners, he closes right up. So I was saying about the #10 Kawasaki. Igor German brought it in and was pretty unhappy. They took the airbox off, tank off, airbox off, had a look inside, and one of the engines just wiggled his fingers, and everybody else had a look, and all the purposeful, really decent points here. The number 11 Kawasaki in 3rd place. Jehan Dorjek's on the bike. Suzuki is currently in the lead. The wind is powerful, and it's been like that all day here. The number 11 Kawasaki, the only works Kawasaki, left at 6:30 this evening local time. The Mobile One Yamaha of Delatang, Jean-Philippe Rogier and Jean-Michel Bayle ran off the track, smashed into the barriers, caught on fire, and it was Jean-Michel Bayle on the bike at the time. The problem was we saw the crash, but we didn't, or we saw the remnants of the crash and the fire, but we didn't see what happened to Bayle. There's been no word as yet as to what's happened to him, but we do hope he's okay. This is your current leader, the #1 Suzuki, Peter Goddard on board. They've had the changeover. Terry's jumped off, Peter's jumped on. Been a little change down the order. It's your current standings after 122 laps. Goddard, Reimer and Morrison Goddard on the bike at the moment. Lavier, Poland and Costes. They must have had their changeover by now, but I don't know who's on it. Dorjek, Lavila and Izutsu. Let's see if I can get his full name correctly. If I can find it, that is. Hitoyasu Izutsu. I think I've got that. And now I'm still trying to find out something about the man. Haven't been able to yet. Lots of people in the pits down here. Van der Bosch gets off. Bruno Bonnet gets on. And it's going to be like this all the way through the night.
The Yamaha totally destroyed. Michel Bayle, though, fortunately undamaged, and he will race in the 500 Grand Prix at Catalonia this weekend. Well, by 9 p.m, Dusk is starting to arrive and night isn't far away. The number 1 Suzuki still leading by a lap from the number 3 Honda. The 11
and all the silly lights on the bikes come on. I might say silly, but they're all totally different. The bikes don't just run standard headlights anymore here. They have their own identity lights. They've got special lights inside the fairing. I've even seen some inside the glass fiber tail, so that you can see the numbers as they're going past. These bikes, because they need to see round corners as they're tipping them in. There's a good example, so that their pit men can actually see them and identify them as they come down the straights towards them. And they can say, oh yes, I know him, he's a flashing light, that one's one of ours. The only one that I can actually recognize myself is the Dafix Honda, which has one white light and one pink light, and that's about it, because there are far too many to be able to recognize down here. It's a beautiful evening, but you can concentrate a lot more when you're going round. You know your point, those are what you're aiming for. The only thing that upsets you is coming up across back markers, which you're going to do again and again and again, especially if you're seriously fast. We're talking back markers with Tommy, and then free bike performance in 6th place, white endurance in 7th. And since I last looked at the screen, I thought it was phase 1 endurance in 7th place. They've dropped all the way down to 11th place at the moment, 145 laps, so something has obviously happened since I've stepped in the booth. They are 7 laps down from where they were, but and still the wind blowing paper bags and, sorry, plastic bags. When was the last time you saw a paper bag? Plastic bags across the track. The people with the pit boards have to recognise their riders as they come out of the final corner onto the start and finish straight. The riders themselves have to recognise their pit board. Talking times, Castrol Suzuki's, both Castrol Suzuki's doing consistent 2-minute 2 out. The bike was totaled. Eric, I assume, is okay. I haven't heard any different. And then the one that everybody was down here to see, that's the number 7 bike. It's a Dafix Honda. Jean Dat, Mauro Luciari and Pierre Riva Cabana. Luciari just about to step on the bike. Jean Dat's done his stint. Very much a works machine, but still Dafix doing 203s, 204s, not as fast as the Suzuki's. I was talking about the Mobil 1 Yamaha with all the Jeans on board, the Jean Delatang, the Jean Rogier and the Jean-Michel Bale. Everybody coming down to see Bale. Jean-Michel is fine, he's okay, no problems. At least that's what everybody in the team is saying, but the bike totaled itself, fire and everything, and they're sadly out, and of course only one Mobil 1 Yamaha running in the race. Currently, reprise of where we're going, 100. The cameramen haven't taken us down the pits for a while. It would be nice to see what has actually happened to them, but they were doing so well, running very fast times as well, very consistent, and all of a sudden I come here and something's wrong. He's got his hand up as well. During the night, we'll see retirement, and it'll be very difficult to see who's retired until something happens on the board. He's obviously got an engine fault, and he's pulling off. He won't be able to get that one home. Can't tell who it is, unfortunately. But this is going to occur all the way through the night. People will drop out. Garage doors will come down. From the frantic and frenetic activity of the race, it turns into somewhat slower activity as everybody packs up and prepares to go home. But it's not going to be everybody. Quite a few people left in this race. It's not been such a war, such a battle for the early part of this race. I told you we've seen some fairly prominent failures to finish, should I say, but number 1 Suzuki, 161 laps done. The number 11 Kawasaki right behind, well, not right behind, 1 lap down according to my board. The number 3 Honda, 37 seconds down on them, and the second Suzuki, the number 4 Suzuki, 160 laps showing. Take a look at some of the lights on these machines. when they're going sideways. Some of them have lights in the side, wide set headlamps. They're right on the corners of the fairing. Some of the others, well, most of the others, very difficult to recognize. Remind yourself of that one. Kawasaki, Suzuki have a very sort of oblong to be able to recognize that, but with the glare of the lights you can't do much. And somebody's engine's gone. It's a Kawasaki. That is the number 11 Kawasaki with the headlights gone. He must be cruising back to the pit. Some of the lights are still working though, but he won't be able to see where he's going. Last time I looked, it was Jehan Dorjeks on the bike, but I doubt it very much if it is now. Trying to make out the armbands. The armbands would give it away. And it seems to be Gregorio Lavia on the bike. He's going to have to take that in. He won't be too worried about people coming up behind him. They'll see him. His backlights are working, but his headlights aren't, and he's not going anywhere without being able to see around corners. And you certainly don't take the chance of just tagging onto somebody and following them round. You need to get into your own race pace, and if you're not, go back and get whatever it is broken, fixed. Villa should know where he's going. He's taking it fairly slow. He doesn't really need to take it this slow unless he doesn't know where he's going. He can crack on a little bit more than this. The riders behind him, he won't be a danger to the riders behind him. They'll be able to see his tail lights. And at some points on the track, there's enough light to see your way around. Now, he would be pulling into the pits right now. And there'll be frantic activity in the pits. They know he's coming in. They know what's wrong. Pit lane very, very crowded here at the Bol d'Or. Lots of people up and down the pit and having to shift them out of the way because a lot of them are not. Now the lights have come on again. There is something wrong. Must have been some kind of a switch. All of a sudden the lights are on again. He's sent out. So was it a loose connection, or did somebody just change a switch on him? Light shining brightly now, and he has got some time to make up. 58 seconds down on the Honda in third place. The Suzuki still in first, 2 laps off the lead Suzuki. So Suzuki in first place, Elf Honda second, Kawasaki third, the other Castrol Suzuki in fourth place, 1 minute 31 seconds down from the Kawasaki. Another Honda in 5th place, a Dafix Honda. Free Bike Performance in 6th place, White Endurance 7th, Motorshop 35 in 8th, Challenge AFC in 9th, and Bollinger Team, 50 machine of Phase 1 Endurance. Unfortunately, they are now down in 37th place, but I expect that to drop because they've still only done 145 laps, and whatever problem they had must have turned out to be major. Number 3, Honda firing down the straights, now in 2nd place. 165 laps done, and nearly 6 hours into the race, only a quarter of the race done, and lots of things already happening, but the Honda and Kawasaki and Suzuki all in touch with just 2 laps covering the 4 of them. But sadness, it seems, for Phase 1 Suzuki, the Cadbury's bike. They've done it out in Cadbury's colours, and the boys at GT Motorbikes have got to be fairly crushed with this because they were very happy with the setup of the bike. It was riding very well. The only thing they weren't happy with was the speed in a straight line, but they were hunting down all their rivals. Unfortunately, I am not seeing the Phase 1 Suzuki anywhere at all. Had a close look at the bike. Some of the tiny little touches that are done on these bikes. There are location lugs on the front wheel. right near the front axle, so that when you take the first down, all the rest of the gears, second to fifth, second to sixth, are up. And there's a beautiful little piece of engineering which took about 8 weeks to create, basically designing it, and all the other machines. Basically, it's right on the gear shift crank, the gear shift spline actually, where you pull out the end of the gear rod and just flick it up, and it changes from up until down, changes the entire gear shift pattern around, and you can do that while you're riding the bike. Just reach down and flip it up. Terry Reimer ready to go out. I've seen Brian Morrison at the end of a race. I haven't seen Terry Reimer at the end of a race. I've seen Brian Morrison looking decidedly grey. There's still almost half the race left. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it starts to get light, and you think, oh, that's it, we're coming towards the end, but then the brain kicks in, and you realize that you've only done 12 hours of racing, 12, 13 hours of racing, and there's still virtually half a race left to do. And each time you get on the bike, it's harder and harder. You try to snatch an hour here, an hour there, but it becomes increasingly, so many times, an endurance event that you think that everybody's tired, and it comes to the end of the race, the adrenaline kicks in yet again with another shot, and you're off and running. And sometimes the fastest lap can be set within 15 minutes of the end. It's happened before, it can happen again. And it's when you step off the bike after that that you are really close to collapse. Paul Ricard's standings as we speak. Suzuki in first place. The Honda now taking second place from the Kawasaki, who had a lighting problem. Suzuki again in fourth place. Another Honda, the Dafix Honda, in fifth place. And a Yamaha in sixth. We will be back at Paul Ricard. And those are the times for tomorrow, Central European time. Take away 1 hour for the UK. We will see you tomorrow morning. But as I said just a moment ago, they've withdrawn from the race. Quick refueling stop for the #1 machine. Terry Reimer taking it out, and then the pace car came out and slowed everybody down. There was some oil on the track. One of the riders had gone down and spread oil all over the track, so they did need to slow this pace down at night. Those are racing under yellow. Nathalie Roche and Patricia Baudard. Problem for the #3 machine, Lavier, Poland and Costas.
Hopefully everything will continue like that. Well, 3 in the morning, halfway through the race. The #1 Suzuki, Peter Goddard, Terry Reimer and Brian Morrison in for a pit stop. And at this stage they have a 2-lap advantage. Slick and precise pit work and superb riding out on the track, keeping them ahead. Dominic Méliard saying, well, anything can happen, but for the moment we've got a lap's advantage, and I hope that that's the way it'll stay. The 11 Kawasaki, Doja Lavilla and Isitsu in second place. They're a lap behind, of course. Third Honda in the #3 machine. They are 5 laps down. They had a broken chain earlier in the event, and that cost them a lot of time getting back to the pits.
Had a major chain problem, and then the rain started to come down, people changing to intermediates and full wets. The intermediates went on first, then came full wets. The rain off and on throughout the evening. The #11 and the leading machine, the numbers 2 and 1, coming in for a quick refueling. This was what was happening throughout the night.
Well, no change to the overall standings during the night, but at 7:40 in the morning, the second place rather, #11 Kawasaki stops with a punctured radiator. And they try and fix it. They will restart temporarily, but it finally cooks its engine some 20 minutes later.